This is game 2 of this draft that we ran. So I'm playing Adam again, which you would have seen in the first game, and now I'm running against his corp. Got a modded, Joshua B, some memory. I got the, I think this is a Crypsis.
I don't even remember what cards I have. Sorry.
And he's got an Eve campaign, Pad campaign, Hokusai Grid, and Ice. So he has a pretty good start, it looks like. He's keeping it. Draws another PSF. I'm trying to decide if I want to keep mine. I have a modded and I think a Crypsis, so that's a pretty good start. So I keep. Got Ice up on HQ. He has some agendas there. It might be his only ISO. And I think he's going to put the Hokusai down, right?
It's useless to have this because I don't actually have your character.
Are you using the break? Using the trash?
Oh, I guess you're right.
Putting the Pad campaign down, or the Pad campaign down would be a good play right now as well. I was thinking even the Eve campaign though. So this was a great part of it where he put an upgrade down, and I was trying to figure what the hell that could be because he doesn't have an ID, you know, that I could figure. Oh, he's Genteki, so it's this, or he's HB, so it's Ash. So I was trying to figure out what upgrades I'd actually seen while drafting, and I remembered that there was a Hokusai that went around that I didn't get. You know, I got the Burning Smile, so I was trying to remember what upgrades I saw while drafting, and this is where the full draft was. There's an extra dimension of play to the full draft because you could try and infer what a certain card would be like an upgrade. So I decided to run in, and I can't. Like, it wasn't super smart because I can't afford to get through much with only 3 money on Crypsis.
You can click through. Oh, I could prevent the brain damage.
And
Care about brain damage.
it's a Victor 1.0, so it'll end the run and it will give me a brain damage.
How much money do you have left? 3?
I have 1 click, so I could click and prevent brain damage, and then we'll end my run. But I tend to, I don't know, not be so worried about 1 or 2 brain damage. So I'm letting him take the brain damage, and I think I click through to end the run.
Okay. That ends my run.
Oh no, I decide to just let it end my run. That's too bad.
Okay. You're gonna res that? Yeah. Okay, I am gonna access. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. 4 to trash. Damn.
Unfortunately, Hokusai is 4 to trash. I only have 3 money, so that is unfortunate. And I think it was a Pad campaign. So yeah, that was not a great opening turn for me. And he has things pretty well locked up, because I don't want to go into R&D again with the Hokusai until I have a little more money. You know, next turn I could go in, I could get another money, run in, take a damage, and all that. But oh, this is perfect though. So I did get, my economy was, I had 2 bank jobs. That was a big part of my economy, and this worked out great because the corps, you know, in this format have a lot of asset economy. You start with 2 Pad campaigns, and there's just a lot of asset economy. So bank job feels like a very strong card. So I draw up, and bank job is safe to run on that. So I decide to go for it.
Okay.
And I run on the remote, and I decided to trigger the bank job. So if that is an agenda, he's gonna be able to score it up. I think he has 3 credits to do that. But that's a huge econ boost right there. So I needed to execute on that. I think I also drew the Sneakdoor. Yeah, there's a Sneakdoor in my hand. So it's just a Pad campaign. Yeah, and I commented. I did see that on R&D, so that makes sense. He takes his mandatory draw. He's pretty low on money. I think he is, looks like 2 credits, probably 1 or 2 credits. That Victor is pretty expensive to get through with Crypsis. Cost 5 to get through with Crypsis and the token. So he defends the Pad campaign.
First click. Second click.
I'm gonna get 2 credits.
And I throw down another bank job and just run in on that. So now he could spend... I have plenty of money to get through whatever he reses. So he's deciding if he wants to res whatever's there. When he's pretty sure I'm not even gonna kill the pad campaign, he probably is figuring he can't keep me out. It's a bad position.
Okay, so I will take the bank job. Yep.
So I get another 8 money from the bank job. Building up a nice little bank.
Third click.
Got 17. 17 money.
Third click there.
So I'm going to kill the pad campaign now. Now force him to actually res that ice if he wants to have a chance to defend it. But realistically, he's not going to be able to keep me out right now. And so it's probably better for him to just let me trash a pad campaign, spend some of my money.
Okay, I'll trash.
And there should be 1 click left.
Fourth click, I'll draw a card.
I'll draw it. So I get the Morning Star. Nothing on the table yet that makes me want to install the Morning Star, but I didn't get a lot of programs in this deck. I took, whenever there was a decent chance to take a breaker and I didn't need anything else, I would usually take the breaker. So I'm not a huge fan of Crypsis myself.
Yeah, let me do that. I'm gonna run.
So he takes money for his turn.
She's not gonna break, so I gain $2, right?
Yeah.
And then I run a
And
for attack.
R&D is just still wide open with that Hokusai. So now that I'm done stealing money from banks, I got the modded and Sneakdoor in hand. So I drew the modded. That is really tempting. Mod out the Sneakdoor and just Sneakdoor in.
Risks.
I have.
And the risk with that play is if he has a snare in hand, then I will just lose. And I could draw a card. Like, I can't draw enough cards to... I'd have to draw 2 cards, because I'm going to install 2 cards, or use 2 cards.
Third click.
So I decide to just go for it.
And fourth click, I'll use it.
So last click going in, I only have 2 cards in hand, and he has enough money to trigger a snare, so this is just a risk.
I'm just gonna take risks, because why not?
And it felt like it was okay to take risks. It wasn't as serious of a play. So I'd get the Eve campaign.
Should I trash this?
I would really love to wait to trash this until I'd Scrubber installed, and after he rezzed it.
A lot of money.
But I also don't like him having a card like that in his hand that he can even use as a bluff. Make me think that it's just the Eve campaign, he scores on an agenda. R&D is still wide open. So I drew some more money there, drew an Armitage. That will probably be very useful soon as my reserves fall. The thing that's really interesting with Hokusai Grid is that more than just like doing the 1 net damage isn't that impactful, but net damage it always compounds on top of it. So to run into R&D to be totally safe, I need to have I need to be able to like absorb a snare and the Hokusai. So I need to have at least 4 cards in hand to go into R&D, and that is slower. Like that cost me a whole nother click to get up to that safe amount to get into R&D. So that's why this type of strategy works pretty well. Like why Hokusai is good. Like not just because of its 1 net damage, because it's just compounds onto all the other net damage sources. And that is also why I really like House of Knives. It's a new Jinteki agenda. It's a 3 for 1, and has 3 power or advancement tokens or power counters on it that can be used in a run to inflict a net damage. Just 1 per run. And I like that the same reason I like Hokusai. It's that 1 more type of thing. And if they only go in with 3 cards and you use your House of Knives, then they have to really think if they want to continue when you probably have snares in there. So he installs over R&D, and he takes a couple of credits. So now he's building up a good little bank of money there.
Second click, I'll draw.
And I draw my only sure gamble. So I gotta fire that off while I have the money.
You have $3.
I really want to be making a run here. But I have good cards in hand. Looks like I have a Joshua B in hand, and I have the Armitage. I would rather not lose that to Hokusai.
Fourth click, Sneakdoor.
Oh yeah, but I have the Sneakdoor still. And this is still a huge risk, because if I hit a snare, I won't die immediately, but if he has a Scorched Earth, then it works out. I might have just yelled that on accident, sorry. Get a PSF. So this deck does have 2 copies of Joshua B and 2 Data Leak reversals. So it is a combo-y deck in that way.
Okay. First click draw.
So he installs to protect Sneakdoor, and he
Second click.
has something going on with the remote. Now it's an interesting play because
And fourth click.
he knows I could get into that remote. I have enough money, and I have a Crypsis token. And so I kind of am just guessing that that remote is not an agenda. So the Hunter traces at 3. I decided just to let him run the trace because I could potentially... It would cost me 5 with Crypsis to get through and the Crypsis token. So I just bet that he's not going to raise it anymore above 3, and then it's just a cheaper way for me to go to not get tagged. And he the Hokusai gets to Morningstar. It's just okay. I don't have a barrier I need to break yet, so...
Okay, that'll
And, oh, there's a barrier. But it's just a wall static, so... It would be nice to have the Morningstar, but at the same time I don't have the memory for it. Morningstar is 2 memory, and I lost my Akamatsu, which I believe is my... No, I think I have a Dyson memory trip somewhere in the deck, too, so I do have the... Alright, so he reses the pad campaign.
First.
Drew the Parasite and the Ice Carver. Ice Carver is fantastic when you have Crypsis. It is like a super bad publicity you get for every ice in that context. So he draws a card and forces the Hunter.
Alright, first click, second click, third click, fourth click.
So I just decided to start pressuring HQ.
Yeah, man.
I have, like, what I love about Sneakdoor is it just provides, it's kind of like there's 2 HQ servers now, basically, right? So you need to double up your ice to protect HQ. And so if I can keep the pressure on, make it so that he doesn't feel safe installing a, agenda and a remote, they're going to pile up in his hand, and then I have 2 ways to get an HQ. And so as long as I continually pressure both those avenues, it just puts a tremendous amount of pressure to get enough money to defend both those servers and enough ice. Would like to be trashing that pad campaign though. So unfortunately I don't have data suckers, so that Parasite is just gonna take away the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, we can even get a chance to let see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, that Victor is just too expensive to deal with. There is a Gordian Blade somewhere in my deck, which would make that cheaper. So he is prepping for something. Installing an ice like that is sort of signaling that there is something going on in HQ. I might want to get in there.
Second click, I'll draw.
So draw a couple cards. So I have the combo in hand now.
Third click, I'll Sneakdoor.
His res is an Eli. That is so difficult. There's no cheap way to get through that with Crypsis.
Okay.
It's just, I think it's far cheaper just to click through them at that point. But I didn't have the clicks for it. I'm deciding if I want to put the Joshua B down,
Down Joshua B.
and I decide to.
Okay.
So I think something I messed up later, but an important detail about data leak is you can only install it if you, I think, made a successful run on a central server, something like that,
It's not a game.
which is a pretty big constraint. Made a run on a central server in the same turn. So that Victor has 2 more turns of defense.
You saw something there. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, last turn.
Not.
This turn I'll use turn.
So I could still get into HQ.
Yeah.
Try to find
Well, I guess either way,
Anyway.
by spending 2 clicks.
Oh.
Which might be worth doing that. Just, it's expensive, but at this point, it's no cheaper to go in with Crypsis. You know, Crypsis is going to cost at least a click just for the virus token, so then you have to figure out, well, is 1 click worth, like 6 credits or whatever it's going to take Crypsis to get through Eli? And the answer is probably no. I can't imagine in what context 1 click is worth 6 credits like that. That Morningstar would have been great now with that. But yeah, I didn't have the memory for it, so. But I could have got through that Eli for 1 credit with the Morningstar. So if that Akamatsu had survived, that would have been a great combo.
So you drew credits for Crypsis.
Akamatsu for the memory, Morningstar, and just keep getting in for 1 credit.
Okay.
Then just barriers are basically not worth resing for the rest of the game. Just removes 1 type of ice entirely for the most part. I mean, it would still be worth resing if as a corp you had a lot of money and the runner didn't have a good source of money.
Okay.
Alright, so he installs over the Parasite,
Okay, I'm gonna trigger Joshua B.
which in hindsight was probably a really smart idea because I do have the Ice Carver in hand, and I think that turn I probably would have run in with the Ice Carver to kill the Victor and got into HQ.
Clicks to work with.
So I take the Joshua B tag, so I get an extra click, and I'm going to take a tag at the end of the turn.
Let's do. First 3 clicks are going to be spent on a Sneakdoor run going through Eli.
So I spend 3 clicks to go through Eli with Sneakdoor, and I have 2 clicks left after this, which I am going to have a tag, so I might want to get some money off Armitage.
Search.
Okay.
Alright, so I think that was a Sensei.
Click 4 of 5 will be to draw a card, and then final click is to take some Armitage money.
Alright, so take a little money off Armitage, draw a card.
Credit. 4th click. Run flare. Go up to strength 6.
Right.
Ready to draw. Begin.
Sensei, I think, is a pretty good card in this format. Just again because of Crypsis, there's a lot of ice like Hunter that or pop up window you don't have to use Crypsis to get through, and Sensei just adds and end the run to ice like that. So they just make your whole server a lot more taxing. Like if I had a Sensei on top of R&D in my Corp game, then it would have been Sensei, pop up, Hunter. It just would be way too expensive to get through all that with Crypsis, just because of all the clicks. Alright, so he installs, advances. I decide to take the Joshua B again. And here I'm thinking about this is where I make the mistake
Click install.
for putting down data leak.
Second click, I'm gonna draw a card, and then I'm gonna melt.
Yeah, that was just a...
Oh, wait.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad I caught this. This was just a mistake because
No, I can't do that.
you have to run on Essential with data leak before installing it.
Sorry.
So yeah, I could get into that remote crawl because I have enough money, but there is a risk that that's some sort of trap.
You're right. I did draw
And it's not a match point situation or anything, so
use data leak, so.
I do want to trigger data leak this turn though.
I guess second click.
Last time I said
Go there.
So he decides not to res the ice.
Sorry, but there's no way to get yourself faster. But, I mean, yeah.
Oh, pull the Nisei. So this means that third click I can install the data leak, and then I am tagged, so I could use data leak to mill a couple cards. Now this turn he could just start killing my resources. He could
Most of the time thinking
Yes, I have no tag.
take out the data leak.
That would have been more efficient than marking out. Although actually his money didn't really matter.
That's true.
Like I'm rich and he just got like recurring credits.
But he has an agenda there he wants to score. So he gets a PSF, which I do not like seeing now because I do have tags. So luckily this turn he only has one more card to spend, so he could ping me for 1 net damage. If I were him, I'd probably get rid of the data leak though. I can't imagine why you want it.
Shit.
So I decided to go for it.
Yeah, but that PSF being scored puts me in an odd position of either needing to just if I embrace the tags, then I need to draw for 3 of my clicks every turn just to be able to sustain the PSF lock. So I'm deciding if I want to take Joshua B, and I could just take Joshua B and then mill a bunch this turn. And then I could just pay to get through into the archive. So that's kind of a glory run situation, because then he starts the PSF lock.
But no, then you could
And then at that point I think I would have too many tags to realistically clear them.
twice and go for a glory run. I have the money. I could data leak.
So I'm just deciding how I want to do this. I think the more exciting thing here is to trigger
More exciting.
data leak 4 times and run-ins and just hope you got an agenda. And you know, he does have a lot of 2-pointers I'm seeing in his deck, so there's a decent chance that I will catch an agenda or 2.
I'm gonna take Joshua B.
So okay, take the Joshua B, click.
And then this would cost me
So I'm just doing the math, making sure I could get through.
all these to mill, so that would cost me
And Eli costs 6 to get through with Crypsis.
2 to break, total of 6 to get through, right? Crypsis? Yes. Okay.
And so I can,
Let's go for it.
yeah, I decided to go for it. So I decided that he discards, trashes 4 cards. I just need one of these to be a 2-pointer agenda. I think there's 6 cards in
Run in and spend 6.
archives. So I go in. He rests dedicated response team. So if there's not an agenda in archives, okay, I'm going to take 2 damage at the end of this run, and then he PSS me for the win. So I'm just, there's no real decision here. I just keep going and hope that, and there is an agenda there. So the 6 points what you need to win in this format, and I get it. And so he would have killed me
Yeah, unfortunately that
next turn. Looks like he had a fetal AI in hand as well. A couple of fetal AIs.
there's only one in there then?
Ugh.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he had those when I was making those HQ runs.
Third of the 4 cards in the middle. Oh, okay.
But yeah, so that worked out. That was sort of a glory run situation, and the data leak worked out. So he decided to put down the dedicated response team, hoping that I wouldn't mill something. I guess he had a lot of agendas in hand, so he was just hoping that I wouldn't mill something, and then he'd be able to get me with the combination dedicated response team and PSF. Which could have easily worked out, because of all those 6 cards in the archives, only one of them was an agenda. So it was a pretty close, risky play there at the end, and luckily it worked out, but it could have easily not have worked out. So that is the end of the second game. I'm going to have a few more games. I'm going to have 4 more games up on the channel, I believe, from this draft. And I will have more normal constructed games soon, as there's a tournament I'm running tomorrow where I'll be capturing some games. So thanks again for watching, and look out for more soon.